Imagine a scene of holiday cheer transformed into a bloodbath, a Christmas party shattered by violence. This is the unsettling backdrop of the 2008 Covina massacre, a case that stunned the nation with its brutality. On Christmas Eve, as families gathered to celebrate, a man dressed as Santa Claus entered a home in Covina, California, armed and filled with rage. By the time the gunfire ceased, 9 people lay dead. The masked assailant, later identified as Bruce Pardo, had a personal vendetta against his ex-wife, Sylvia Ortega, and her family. Pardo, dressed in a Santa suit, opened fire on the partygoers, turning a night of joy into a scene of unimaginable carnage. But Pardo's reign of terror didn't end there. After the shooting, he set the house ablaze, turning the holiday decorations into fuel for the inferno. Pardo later died by suicide, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a community forever scarred by the tragedy. As investigators sifted through the charred remains of the Covina home, they pieced together a picture of a man driven by resentment and rage. Bruce Pardo, an unemployed aerospace engineer, had recently finalized a bitter divorce from Sylvia Ortega. The divorce proceedings had been particularly acrimonious, marked by disputes over finances and custody of their young son. Pardo, consumed by anger and bitterness, had made threats against his ex-wife and her family in the months leading up to the massacre. Some speculate that Pardo's elaborate plan, including the Santa Claus disguise and the arson, was a twisted attempt to inflict maximum pain and suffering on his former in-laws. Others point to Pardo's history of mental health issues as a contributing factor to his violent outburst. Despite the investigation's efforts, the true depths of Pardo's motives remain shrouded in mystery, leaving us to grapple with the chilling reality of a seemingly ordinary man driven to commit an act of unspeakable horror. The Covina massacre serves as a stark reminder that darkness can lurk beneath the surface of even the most joyous occasions. The families of the victims, forever haunted by the tragedy, continue to seek solace and understanding in the aftermath of the horrific event. In the years since the massacre, the Covina community has come together to remember the victims and offer support to their loved ones. Memorials and candlelight vigils have been held to honor the memories of those lost and to provide a space for healing and reflection. Yet, the scars of that fateful Christmas Eve run deep. The house where the massacre occurred stood as a grim reminder of the tragedy for years, until it was finally demolished, making way for a memorial garden dedicated to the victims. The Covina massacre remains a chilling example of how domestic disputes can escalate into unimaginable violence, leaving behind a legacy of pain, loss, and unanswered questions. The Covina massacre, despite its horrific nature, remains an unsolved mystery in the eyes of some. While Bruce Pardo was identified as the perpetrator, his death by suicide left a void in the narrative, leaving investigators and the public to grapple with unanswered questions. Did Pardo act alone in planning and executing this horrific act? Or were there others who may have known about his intentions? The sheer scale of the massacre, coupled with the meticulous planning involved, has led some to speculate that Pardo may have had help. Furthermore, the investigation into Pardo's background and potential motives remains open, with some aspects of his life shrouded in mystery. Were there any warning signs that were missed? Could this tragedy have been prevented? The Covina massacre stands as a chilling reminder that even in the pursuit of justice, some answers remain elusive, leaving us to confront the unsettling reality that some mysteries may never be fully solved. Our next chapter takes us to the seemingly idyllic town of Boulder, Colorado, where a cloud of suspicion settled over the community on Christmas Day, 1996. In a case that would captivate the nation and fuel endless speculation, 6-year-old beauty queen JonBenet Ramsey was found dead in the basement of her family home. JonBenet was a rising star in the world of child beauty pageants. Her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, were prominent figures in the affluent Boulder community, making the circumstances surrounding their daughter's death all the more shocking. The initial discovery of a ransom note demanding a curiously specific amount of money, $118,000, suggested a kidnapping gone wrong. However, as investigators delved deeper into the case, inconsistencies in the Ramseys' accounts peculiar details within the crime scene, and the media frenzy surrounding the case cast doubt on the family's innocence. As details of the JonBenet Ramsey case unfolded, investigators found themselves navigating a labyrinth of conflicting evidence and perplexing clues. The ransom note, later determined to have been written on a notepad from the Ramsey home, raised suspicions about a potential staged crime scene. The 911 call made by Patsy Ramsey, filled with what some perceived as a rehearsed or emotionless tone, further fueled speculation about the family's involvement. The behavior of John and Patsy Ramsey during media appearances, often perceived as detached or evasive, only intensified public scrutiny. Adding another layer to the mystery was the discovery of DNA evidence at the crime scene that did not match any members of the Ramsey family. This unidentified DNA profile, while not definitively linking anyone to the crime, fueled speculation about an intruder's involvement. Theories about who killed JonBenet Ramsey range from accusations against family members to speculation about disgruntled acquaintances or unknown intruders. Despite years of investigation, numerous suspects, and advancements in forensic technology, the case remains unsolved. On December 24, 2013, Salvatore Belvedere, 22, and his brother's fiancée, Ilona Flint, 22, were discovered shot in their car in the parking lot of the Mission Valley Mall in San Diego. The chaotic night took a further tragic twist when Gianni Belvedere, 24, Sal's brother, was also reported missing, raising concerns about the possibility of a love triangle gone wrong, or a deeper entanglement of violence and betrayal. Ilona called 911 during the attack, indicating she had been shot. However, no gunshots could be heard in the background of the call. This horrifying situation reinforced the notion that lives could change in an instant under very dark circumstances. As investigations began, detectives quickly focused their efforts on Gianni, whose phone records revealed he had been en route to pick up Ilona at the mall before the shooting. Unfortunately, he was never seen again until 10 days later, when his decomposed body was found in the trunk of his vehicle. 90 miles away from San Diego, forensic evidence revealed that Gianni had also been shot with the same weapon that killed Salvatore and Ilona. The chilling realization that all three victims were connected in this tragic narrative emerged as detectives pieced together fragments of a violent puzzle. The investigation took a turn when Carlo Mercado, identified as a suspect weeks after the killings, drew attention from law enforcement due to his possession of illegal firearms, including a gun that matched the bullets found at the murder scene. Mercado's apparent lack of a criminal record raised questions about his motives, but the authorities learned that the violence likely stemmed from a parking lot scuffle that escalated quickly during the fatal confrontation. By the time investigators had enough evidence to pursue charges against Mercado, the narratives of family, betrayal, and savage human instincts had already embedded themselves into public consciousness. In June 2014, 4 months post the holiday murders, Mercado was charged with 3 counts of murder. He was a married man at the time, and the investigators faced the notion of whether or not his life circumstances contributed to his motivations for the murders. The court trial revealed that Mercado's DNA had been found at the crime scene, aligning with theories that his involvement was premeditated and executed without regard for human life. Ultimately, he pleaded guilty to the murders and was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. This case exemplifies the profound impact of violence on communities and the tragic loss of young lives. Families were annihilated, and friends were left to mourn without understanding the motivations behind the senseless killings. The murders of Salvatore and Gianni Belvedere and Ilona Flint at the hands of Carlo Mercado serve as a tragic story, steeped in grief and questioning. The senselessness of this violence during what is supposed to be a season of joy illustrates the critical need for communities to be vigilant against the underlying issues that can lead average individuals into dark paths. While justice was rendered in Mercado's sentencing, the case left a lasting impression on those affected and a vivid reminder of the fragility of life.